Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, SNSE just filed an amendment to their 10K report, and I'm seeing some big strategic shifts that matter. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company made a major acquisition to boost its drug pipeline, but the financials reveal some significant costs and a very small market cap. Sensei Biotherapeutics Incorporated is a clinical stage biotechnology company. Their main focus is on developing new medicines to treat cancer. They recently bought another company called Faeth Therapeutics. This acquisition brought a new drug candidate into Sensei's lineup called PIKTOR. This drug is designed to attack cancer in a specific way by targeting multiple signals that cancer cells use to grow. The big news here is the acquisition of Faeth Therapeutics. This deal was a major move for Sensei, bringing in Faeth's lead drug candidate, PIKTOR, and about $200 million in funding from investors. PIKTOR is actually a combination of two drugs, Serabelisib and Sapanisertib, that work together to block signals in cancer cells. The idea is that by blocking multiple signals, they can be more effective and potentially have fewer side effects than drugs that only block one signal. PIKTOR is now their main focus. It is an oral medicine, meaning patients can take it by mouth, which is more convenient than IV treatments. It targets the PIKTOR pathway, which is a common pathway that gets messed up in many kinds of cancer. Sensei believes that by blocking this pathway at multiple points, they can achieve better results and prevent cancer from becoming resistant to treatment. They are currently testing PIKTOR in clinical trials for certain types of breast and endometrial cancer. This section really explains the science behind their approach. The PKI2 pathway is like a communication system inside our cells that tells them when to grow and survive. In cancer, this system is often broken, making cancer cells grow uncontrollably. Drugs that block just one part of this system have had limited success because cancer cells can find other ways to keep growing. Sensei's idea, called multi-gen node inhibition, is to block several parts of this pathway at once. They think this will be much more effective. This image here shows how PIKTOR works. You can see Serabelisib targets PK-alpha, and Sapanisertib targets mTOR and mTOR. By hitting these different spots, they aim to shut down the whole system more completely. This strategy is what they believe sets PIKTOR apart from many existing cancer drugs that only target one aspect of this pathway. Sensei points to previous studies of Serabelisib and Sapanisertib, where they were tested in hundreds of patients. In those studies, PIKTOR generally showed to be well tolerated, with most side effects being mild to moderate. They've also seen some positive results in early trials, like a 47% objective response rate in a phase 1b study for certain advanced cancers. This means nearly half of the patients in that small study saw their tumours shrink. One of the main areas they are targeting is advanced HR-HER2 breast cancer. This is a very common type of breast cancer, and many patients still see their disease progress even with current treatments. Sensei sees an opportunity for PIKTOR here, especially because it is an oral drug offering a more convenient treatment option. They are comparing PIKTOR to other drugs in this space, including other multi-node inhibitors that have shown promise. For example, they mentioned gedatolisib, another drug targeting this pathway which showed good results in clinical trials. Sensei believes PIKTOR can offer similar or even better benefits. This is a phase 1b study where they are testing PIKTOR in combination with other breast cancer treatments. They dosed the first patient in May 2026. They expect to have some initial data from this study in 2027. Another key focus is advanced endometrial cancer. This is a type of cancer where there are currently no approved drugs that target the PIKTOR pathway. Sensei believes PIKTOR could fill this unmet need, and they've seen some encouraging results in early studies for this cancer type, with a 80% objective response rate in a small group of patients. This is their ongoing phase 2 study for endometrial cancer, and they expect to have results by the end of 2026. They are testing PIKTOR in combination with paclitaxel, a common chemotherapy drug, in patients who have already been treated with other therapies. The world of cancer drug development is very crowded. Sensei faces competition from many other companies, including big pharmaceutical companies with deep pockets and lots of experience. Specifically in the PIKTOR area, there are several other drugs in development or already approved. Companies like Therapeutics and Eli Lilly all have drugs targeting this pathway. This section lists out exactly who they are up against. You can see many drugs are aiming to hit similar pathways. Some are focused on specific mutations like PIK-SENCA, while others like Serabelisib are also pan-PIKTOR inhibitors. This really highlights how competitive this market is. Protecting their inventions is super important. Sensei has patents and patent applications for PIKTOR, which they expect to last until around 2046, not counting any extensions. They also have intellectual property for their older legacy programs. These patents are crucial for giving them a competitive edge. Sensei has a license agreement with PIKTOR for Serabelisib. They pay PIKTOR royalties on sales, which is pretty standard in this industry. This agreement gives them the rights to develop and sell drugs containing Serabelisib, like PIKTOR. They also have an agreement with Millennium PIKTOR for Sapanisertib. Similar to the PIKTOR agreement, this involves royalty payments and granting Sensei rights to develop and sell products containing Sapanisertib. Together, these agreements make up the core of PIKTOR. These agreements outline milestone payments that Sensei might have to pay to PIKTOR and Millennium PIKTOR if PIKTOR or other related products reach certain development and sales goals. These payments could add up to quite a bit, over $369 million in total. This is a big one for any drug company. They have to get approval from regulatory bodies like the FDA in the US to sell their drugs. The process is long and expensive, involving many steps like preclinical testing, clinical trials in humans, and manufacturing facility inspections. This part explains the typical road to getting a drug approved. It is a multi-phase process, from initial lab tests to large-scale human trials. Even after approval, companies have to keep up with strict rules and can face penalties if they don't. The FDA has programs to speed up the review of promising drugs for serious illnesses. Sensei might be able to use these programs for PIKTOR if it shows significant promise. This could potentially shorten the time it takes to get their drug to patients. Even if PIKTOR gets approved, patients and doctors need to be able to afford it, and insurance companies need to cover it. This section highlights that getting coverage and favorable pricing is a complex process that varies by country and insurance provider. This is a major hurdle for any new drug. Sensei has a small team, especially after some workforce reductions in late 2025. As of March 2026, they had 29 full-time employees, with many joining from the Faeth acquisition. Their focus is on integrating the new team and advancing their clinical programs. Sensei's stock trades on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol SNSE. They were originally incorporated in Maryland in 1999 and later moved to Delaware. This is the list of all the documents and agreements that support this filing. It includes the merger agreement for the Faeth acquisition and various license agreements. It is like the appendix for the whole report. Now, looking at Sensei Biotherapeutics, they are in a high-risk, high-reward industry. The acquisition of Faeth and PIKTOR is a bold move to enter the crowded oncology market with a novel approach. The science behind multi-node inhibition is interesting, and early clinical data, while small, is encouraging. However, the company is very small, with only 29 employees and a market cap around $20 million. Their intellectual property portfolio is solid, but the road to FDA approval is long and expensive, with no guarantee of success. The key challenge will be successfully navigating clinical trials and demonstrating PIKTOR's superiority and safety over existing and competing therapies. My biggest concern is the company's very early stage, coupled with the immense cost and regulatory hurdles in drug development. While PIKTOR shows promise, they are up against established players with much larger resources. A reasonable target price range is difficult to call at this stage, given the speculative nature of biotech. But investors are betting on a significant clinical breakthrough. Oh, and the research tools I use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into company filings. Check out the Discord in the description.